Good morning, y'all. SK South. It's July 22nd, Sunday. It's about 85 degrees outside right now, which, believe me, is really cool compared to what we've had all week. We've had temperatures in the afternoons ranging from 104 to 108 every afternoon. And it doesn't get below 100 until after about 8:30 at night. But we prevail. Of course, okra loves the heat. You can see my okra is doing great. We've harvested between 6 and a dozen pieces every evening. And Lee harvested okra last night. And even though she harvested last night, I still have okra that's going to be ready come the end of the day. Like this one. And over here behind that flower, that one there. So the okra is really doing well. I picked peppers earlier this week. I got a bunch of banana peppers, I got a bunch of chili peppers, and here we get a look. You can see the banana peppers already jumping up. I'm probably going to have to harvest more peppers later on this week. Over here, between the banana pepper and the Anaheim chili, we have poblanos. Now the poblanos, and that plant down there already has a pepper on it. Got a later start than the rest this year. So I don't expect them to really start producing until about late August or September, which is fine. And if y'all don't know about poblano peppers, when you pick them green, they're awesome for making chili rellenos, which is basically cheese stuffed peppers, which you can deep fry if you want. They're good that way, but we prefer to either put them on the grill or broil them, just so the pepper gets really tender and tasty. They're awesome that way. But also, if you let a poblano pepper turn red, then it's known as an ancho pepper, an ancho chili, and those you can smoke, dry out, and make chili powder from. The zucchini garden's doing real well. Well, I got a nice one coming right there. There's another one about that size on that end. Really pleased with how well the zucchini is holding up in the heat. The tomatoes, we're still picking the tomatoes that were on the vine, but they've slowed down production because of the heat, which I don't blame them. I've been trying to hide inside myself. But one thing that I learned, and this was really sent home to me in the last couple days, I managed to get home before my evening water started, and boy, did my pepper plants and my zucchini and squash all look really sad where they were in the direct sun. I mean, they were just drooping down. Their leaves were folded up to minimize exposure to the sun. So I gave them an early watering, and I also showered them all. And within 30 minutes, everybody was perked back up and lively. Temperature was falling. It was still high enough that the water evaporated fairly quickly. I didn't have to worry about inducing mold or mildew, but it helped the plants to perk back up. And at the same time, and I didn't spray those, I looked over at my cucumber garden, and where the cucumber plants were in the shade, they were just jumped up and lively as could be. The leaves were all spread out and happy, but where the vines trailed out of the shadow into the yard, where the sun was still hitting them, there they were kind of droopy and sad. And production has not slowed down on my cucumbers, and it made me realize that the cucumbers like the heat. All the plants actually like the heat. They just don't like that direct, intense sun, especially when we get high UV days. So it's made me start to consider more about how I'm going to shade. We're going to be taking out the turnips later on today, getting ready to plant some new plants there. That'll also free up some space for my onions. I need to do a little weeding and let them get stood back up. I'm going to stake up some of the radishes that have gone to seed because their seed stems are bending way over and hitting the ground, and then probably pull out the rest. And the ones that go to seed I'm going to leave set until they dry out so that I have radish seeds. But in the rest of the garden in that area, I'll be planting something else here shortly. But this is just a quick update to show y'all what's going on out here. As you can see, my husky cherry tomatoes have been tamed down into their cages. They're not producing right now. There's still 1 or 2 tomatoes on each plant, just waiting for them to come ripe. The Romas, they are actually producing, but very slowly now. They had exploded when we first started them. Now, as the tomatoes get ripe, I can look in there right now and see new little tomatoes that are coming up. So they haven't given up. They're just struggling with the heat. But I have a little victory here that I want to share with y'all. Look at this little tomato plant. This was the branch that I took off of one of my big plants because it had fallen over and was looking pretty sad. I cleaned it up, dug down 6-8 inches, and just planted it with the hope that it would root. Well, look at it now. Look at all those fresh leaves, and it's developing trusses, and there's fresh branches coming out down below. It seems to have rooted real well. My yellow squash plants are doing okay. And look at my watermelon vines. They're just jumping out here. Cantaloupe vines doing the same. And all the new cucumber plants, they're coming along. A couple of them actually have flowers. And there we can see there's a bee in that cantaloupe flower down there pollinating. Thanks, fella. We appreciate that. And the green beans are starting to flower. We need to tie them up to the trellis here later today. And I'm also still going to build the trellis I talked about. I'm going to come out of the center of the garden and arch up and over this way. So that side will support the tomatoes. This side will support the cucumber plants. And then I'm going to build another one coming out this way, and it'll anchor down over here about where the watermelon plant ends over there. And then I'll let the cantaloupes and watermelons come up over the top of that arch trellis. And it also struck me that I'm going to have that trellis in the ground over there. I need to go ahead and build a small planter box, maybe 1 foot, 18 inches wide, as long as these, for it to land in on that side, and then I can plant other things there that can come back the other way. And if I plant them with offset timing, say a couple of weeks difference from the melons, as the melons start to peter back, the other plant should be coming to fruition. Then over here we have the original cucumber garden. And they've gotten leggy. They're coming out into the yard. There's cucumbers all in through there. They have not stopped producing. As we can see, there's one nice one right there. That'll be ready in a few days. There's a bunch of them. And I'm really surprised with this heat how well these cucumbers have done. But I'm also very pleased, and I feel very blessed. Alright, we're getting ready to do a little second wave summer planting. This morning we're going to plant sweet potatoes in buckets. We've got slips that we started off of chits on sweet potatoes. They're rooted pretty well. And then I'm also going to be making a bucket of radishes and a bucket of carrots. So here we go. We're going to use for these sweet potatoes is a 10-10-10. got sort of later. Okay, y'all. Now you remember in one of my earlier videos I showed you my watering system where we use weeper hoses in the garden. Now you've seen I've just added this bucket here where Lee's planting sweet potatoes, and I want to get it on the automatic watering system. This system we use makes it so easy. Check this out.
I'm going to go ahead and trim some on the tomato plants when I got the chair.
Okay, so our watering system, here you see I've made a loop with a T. Well, this loop goes inside here, right around the plants. Feeds out through this hole. And then comes over to where our existing watering system is. I can just clip off one of the ends. I prepared a T because I don't have any just extensions. This end has got a plug in it. I just push that right on. Find the length I want for that. Cut it. And just that quickly, I have added this bucket to this watering in this garden. How cool is that, y'all? That way it's not stratified between compost and garden or potting soil. I want to make sure I've got it mixed up as well as I can. That way I got a good loose airy soil for my vegetables to grow in. And it also layers in the fertilizer throughout. So when the roots reach down deep, they'll still find food down there. Now before I add in my seeds, I'm going to add in my watering systems. Radishes a week between us, maybe 6 or 8. I'm going to plant 10 today, and then in a week I'm going to plant another 10. Then in another week I'll plant another 10. It takes about 20 to 25 days to get a good radish. So in 20 days I'll have 1 week's worth of radishes. When I pick those, I can replant more where those came up. Then the next week, more will come up, and it'll keep going in succession. There we go. I put one more radish right down this side. Now the carrots, I'm going to fully plant in. The variety I'm going to be planting is short and sweet. water them in. Okay folks, there it is. July 22nd, Sunday. We've got new radishes planted, we've got new carrots planted, and we've got sweet potatoes planted. Well, look at that. What a surprise. I cleaned out the radishes and staked up the seed plants, and when I cleaned them out, look at all the radishes I got. To the left we have the white globes, in the center is the crimson globes, next is the white icicle radishes, and you see how that one forms a fork? That's because as it was growing it hit a root or a stick or a rock or something in the ground, and that's what happens. Then we also had 3 onions that came out, and I also pulled out all the turnips. And as you can see, I got a nice pile of turnips there. They're about 1.5 inches. Some of them are 2 inches, but there's lots of greens and turnips that'll be good eats. Now I was telling y'all that I was pulling out the turnips to make room for new vegetables. And as you can see, the turnips were running my onions over. And now down at this end, this is what's left of my radish plants. These are the ones that have gone to seed. I made sure and saved all the plants that went to seed. All these little pods are full of radish seeds. And I've got 3 different varieties there, and since I know which row I planted them in, when I harvest the seeds, I'll pull the plants up row by row, so that I'll have my white icicle seeds, I'll have my red globe seeds, and I'll have my white globe seeds. Now one thing I'm curious about is, did my radishes cross-pollinate? Because we've had a lot of pollinators here. It is possible that when I plant those seeds that I end up with some new varieties, and I'm wondering what a red and white or a red and white icicle is going to turn out to be. Might be trash, might be tasty. We'll see when it happens. Now one thing I want to point out to y'all, these little black plastic stakes, you get those at Home Depot. They may have them at Lowe's, but I got them at the depot. They're about $2.50 a piece. It's got a metal rod in the bottom that you step down in, and they're great for temporary staking stuff. And as you saw, I used them in other parts of the garden to hold up the fence as a lattice for the beans and cucumbers. One thing I really like about them, as you see here, they got these plastic clips, and you pull the clip out so you can slip your fencing or whatever in behind. Well, it also works real great with the plants, because you can pull it out and tip the plant back in behind it, and it holds it up, and you don't have to use no string. From under the big, beautiful pecan tree, this is SKSOUTH saying I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.